And welcome back to part 3 of What If Minato Survived. Now, a couple of house cleaning things, and one of them I'm actually going to address in the What If itself. A, someone brought up that Naruto's personality, in all of my What If, Naruto's personality doesn't seem to necessarily change that much, and that when we see Naruto as he actually is, he is closer to Minato than the facade he put on. To some degree, that's true, but you have to remember that Naruto isn't. That's not really the case as it was put, at least the way that the person was describing it. Naruto, when given a chance to fully be himself, isn't quite this hyperactive knucklehead that he kind of makes himself out to be. But the problem is to say that the entirety of it has a mask means that Naruto still goes into a scenario like this fight with Zabuza, Haku, and so forth and so on, really not thinking it through as part of an act. And that's just not what that is. Naruto's real personality in terms of how he interacts with people might not be that whole chipper individual that, smiling goofball that he acts like. But his actual, intelligence level, all that, nothing about that changes. Plus, you have to remember that he's not just Minato's kid. He's not a carbon copy of Minato. He is Kushina's kid as well. And those aspects of her personality do show in Naruto quite a bit, like her verbal tick. He inherited that. The fact that she seemed to definitely be the more brash between her and Minato. He inherited that as well. Now, as he grew up, he matured more and definitely leaned a bit more towards a Minato-like personality. But if we're talking about him as a kid, no, I think you see a smarter version of Naruto and a Naruto who definitely isn't as headstrong and foolhardy. But in terms of a Naruto that isn't bright and vibrant, no, you'd still see a bright and vibrant Naruto, certainly, because Minato would want his son to have a nice childhood, a happy childhood. So there's no reason why he couldn't be bright and happy. Now, in terms of the other what ifs, I can't go through every one that I've done. So, take that explanation I gave and see if you can apply it to what other what ifs I've done in the past. I think it definitely would apply, certainly. Anyway, there was another thing we need to address, but that's actually going to be addressed right now in the what if. So, Fugasu leaves Minato's office. Minato even gives him basically, I'm going to give you to the end of the day to talk it over, and come back here at this time. If you're not back here at this time, I'm going to assume the worst, and I'm going to have to make a drastic choice that I don't want to make. So he goes. And Fugasu leaves, and he goes to talk it over with his wife and some of the larger clansmen. So Minato's now just sitting there and just and Itachi, who's been hiding there the whole time, is like, you get a good earful of all that, and say, yes, Minato, are you sure my father and the clan are going to acquiesce to your request? And Minato says, there can only be hope. Hope is everything we have, but hope and belief go hand in hand, Itachi. I'm gonna hold into the belief that they're gonna see. They are going to see. I know what I'm trying to say. They are going to see that this is the better option. They're going to know that bloodshed's not going to be the safe option. And Itachi basically says, thank you. And then, is there anything else you need? Yeah. I need you to bring someone for me. And then, about a half hour later, maybe an hour later, and he gets a little buzzer. Lord Okage, yes. Mr. Danzo Shimura is here to see you. Send him in. And, there comes Danzo. Now, this is something that has been addressed a lot about the whole Uchiha Massacre, Danzo's part in it, and all that. Well, I figured I'd actually take a change of pace and actually try to address it in this. So Minato basically, Danzo comes in. Now, before I continue, I will say, while I'm someone who actually very much. I mean, I don't care about sub versus dub people that much in terms of dub is better, sub is better, sub and dub is better. Like together, like I don't care so long as I enjoy it. I don't care. Now don't get me wrong. There are dubs that I've heard, like the One Piece dub sucks a lot. But I thought the Naruto dub was perfectly good. Like I thought Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, like 99% of them I thought sounded good. The one character who, when I heard their dub voice, I thought that did not match the voice I heard in my head, was Danzo. Because Danzo ultimately sounded a bit more like this. Lord Hokage. How can I... It wasn't like truly like that, but it was close enough to that. Whereas when I heard Danzo, I actually pictured more of a gruff, deeper voice when I saw him. Something a bit more like this. Still sounding old, but a bit more worn experience. So if you hear me use that voice, that's the voice I'm using. Because that's the voice I heard in my head, and I preferred that voice, honestly. Lord Okage, you wanted to see me. Like, yes. And Minato's like, Minato puts the smile on. I mean, not like oh, Danzo. I was like, Danzo, yes. I wanted to talk to you about something. I've had some sources that indicate something very troubling. I want you to look over. I wanted your opinion. It's like, oh, what would that be, Lord? What would that be? And he explains that apparently the Chias are planning a coup d'état. I would like your opinion on how to proceed in this matter. It's like, coup d'état, and he's gauging Danzo here. He's like, I know you knew about this. I know you told Itachi, or Itachi told you, and that you told him we're gonna have to massacre the clan. He's trying to entrap Danzo, and he's making it to basically be that, yeah, I only just found out about this. I want your opinion. Like well, you're wise. I can't blame you. As strong as you are, you are the youngest Hokage that has ever lived. Extra experience, and Danzo is basically giving a backhanded insult without trying, but making it sound like comes like, you were wise it was a smart decision to ask someone with a bit more experience. Which Minato doesn't even flinch about that. Are these reports accurate? As far as we've had our insiders we've had one of the Anbu confirm it. Again, just lying, and again, this is all fitting towards Danzo's plan, so he's not caring. Well, unfortunately, it seems, from what we can tell, it seems that they are going to be on. We can't. I'm trying to form the words I want. I really probably should start writing out a script for some of these parts. Danzo basically says that it's looking like we can't guarantee when they will possibly start this coup, and there's going to be there will be bloodshed. There's only really one course of action at this time. We will have to. I know it is harsh, but we'll have to slaughter the entire clan. And for the sake, and Minato just staring at him, just straight, if you sure there's no other options, but if peace board option, we would try it. But unfortunately, the Uchiha are a prideful bunch. They seem to feel entitled to what they have available to them, or what's not available to them. They will turn this village into a hell pit if it meant their own victory. And Minato's like, I see your point. I guess it's fortunate then. Tell me, why do you think? I guess it's fortunate then that I spoke to Fugasu earlier about this. And then Danzo's just like, and his eyes kind of like, his eyes just kind of narrow, and he quickly realized, maybe not quickly, but it does start to piece together. It's like, oh, little bastard set me up. But I'm not talking that easy. We spoke about it, and I gave him the ultimatum: peace or war. He'll be back later with his answer, or we won't, and that'll still give us the answer. So, so sorry, there's an episode of South Park, it's the ads episode. So Minato says that, if you already spoke about this, then why call me? Because, and all of a sudden Itachi appears. Itachi seems to think or my source, as Itachi appears, told me how you want gave me your input before you did. I wanted to see if you'd be open about it, open about telling me that you knew about it first. To which Danzo's eye just like, to which Minato's now just like looking at him like, anything you have to say? As I said, you're strong. You are strong, Lord Okage. You have earned that title, but you're weak. But you're young, weak, and young and weak. You lack the experience to do what is necessary. That is why I had the order made. I gave the order to Itachi to do it. I assumed he would follow it out without concern, but it seems I was wrong. And Minato's like, Itachi, leave us. I was like, and to which Minato's just staring him down, and he just stands up and just looks at him and is like, you seem to think very highly of your position, Danzo, and for all the insults you've just thrown, you are right. I am young, and I do lack experience. I do have experience compared to my predecessors, but don't mistake that for complacency. If you think I haven't known about your route thanks to Saratobi's, thanks to the old man's notes, you're dead. That he left me. You're dead wrong. But I'm also not an idiot. I'm aware that there are things that have to be done in the shadows for the village. That's why I've left you alone, because so far we've had peace, and I like to believe that you have contributed on some level to that peace. But make no mistake, as Minato sounded like flares chakra, killing intent, and Danzo, a veteran, would probably even flinch, because if a yellow flash of the leaf wants you dead, beyond Kaguya herself, there's little you can do to stop that. But yeah, and it's like, make no mistake, if I for 1 second think that you are planning something that will harm this village and my family, I will cut your roots from the ground and burn them alive, with you as the tree going with it. Do I make myself clear? To which Danzo, a veteran, even really has to back down. It's like, yeah, I can't take this guy on. And this is prior, by the way, to Danzo having all those Sharingan in him. So I don't even think he'd have a Shisui's Sharingan. Because at that point, with Minato there, it's different with the third, who I very much agree with a lot of people who say that, and I said this prior, but the third basically had just become tired. He wasn't the same Okage he was. He became a lot more complacent. So that's why Danzo was allowed to get away with a lot more, like stealing an Uchiha's eye. Whereas here, I actually think Shisui is still alive, because Danzo, while trying to amass some strength and power, still has to contend with other characters like Itachi, who was actually more in the Hokage's pocket than apparently Danzo's pocket. At least more than Danzo apparently thought. So yeah, I actually think even Shisui, I think I keep wanting to say Shunsui from Bleach, but Shisui, I believe, or Shisui. So Minato basically says, yeah, I'm gonna let you exist for now. If I even get one whiff of thinking you're trying to plan something, trying to overthrow, I will end you and everything you hold dear. So, minus the village, which we do know Danzo does in fact care about the village. Everything he did was for the benefit of the village. It just came from a different perspective, and not really a fantastic perspective. Let's be honest. As they say, it's a Warhawk perspective. Anyway, so yeah, Danzo leaves, and he's now kind of fuming, because his plan probably was to get Shisui's Sharingan at this point. And to be fair, in this point of the timeline, I think he would have normally had it, but because he has someone like Itachi in his corner, admittedly, he's and Minato is the Hokage, I think he's definitely going to have to backtrack on those plans specifically. So now that we got that, Minato spends time with his son, and Naruto basically can see that there's something worrying his dad. It's like, is everything all right, Dad? It's like, everything's fine, Naruto. Just something on your mind. The trials of being the Hokage, son. It's fine. Don't worry, Dad. You're the Hokage, so I'm sure whatever's going on, you'll figure it out. Believe it. And he hears Naruto's and it reminds him of his Kushina, and he just smiles and has a laugh. He's like, I love you, son. It's like, love you too, Dad. And then he finally, he flashes back to his office a little bit before Fugasu shows up. And sure enough, Fugasu and Makoto show up, and Itachi's there with them. And they sit down. It's like, so I assume this at least means you weren't deciding to coup at least at this moment. And yeah, because if they hadn't shown up, that was basically going to be a sign of, yeah, no, we're still going to go through with it. And Fugasu, he looks at Minato, and he just takes we spoke it over with the clan. While our feelings on the situation haven't necessarily changed in terms of how we feel in the village, we do acknowledge that bloodshed and an overthrow will not work. Is not the answer. We will ask you, what do you plan to do to help us feel a bit more? I feel like we are a bit more a part of the Leaf again. I feel like we actually are an important. We're like that. We're not just the police and all that. Because the Uchiha Massacre, it did seem about power, definitely. I don't actually think that, I don't remember what the actual reason off the top of my head was. Let me see if I can find what the actual reason for the massacre is. Uchiha Massacre. Okay, Uchiha Massacre. Let's see here. What was the caused the Uchiha? It was the near complete massacre compared to the Uchiha, unbeknownst to most. Okay, the Uchiha clan downfall. What was the actual reason they wanted to do the coup? I assume it was taking over because the coup is usually overthrowing began a plan to so mistrust and isolation from the rest of the village created feelings of ill will amongst the Uchihas and ultimately rekindled the hatred harbored forward towards the Senju, influenced government. As such, the Uchiha, led by I keep saying Fugatsu, it's actually Fugaku. Fugaku Uchiha began a plan, a coup d'etat to overthrow the Konoha leadership. So basically, it was a feeling of isolation and it was a feeling of isolation and mistrust from a lot of the villagers. And yeah, I don't blame because honestly, they even say that part of that reason for those feelings was the second opening of the police force. It was not really as a gesture of goodwill. It was actually a way to keep them in line. Because Tobirama never liked the Uchiha. He never trusted them. And that trust clearly went on into the later ages of the village. So I think Minato sits down and he thinks, and he stops and he thinks and goes, "Look, I've been thinking about that." And obviously he's not starting. I've been thinking about that, and I've come to a few conclusions. Come to a couple conclusions. One, we're going to disband the police force. To which Fugaku even looks and is like, explain. I've been looking through some of my old predecessors' notes today, ever since this was brought up, and I came to a realization of why the police force was founded. And he explains how the issue with Tobirama and how Fugaku, even I think most of the Uchiha, the second was not a fan of the Uchiha at all. And he talks about, and so we're going to disband it'll no longer be the police force. We'll simply just have Anbu. Because honestly, there is no police, as far as we can tell, there's no police force in any of the other villages. And Minato points that out either. It actually just singles you out more. So, and then second, we're going to make a public statement. Now, we're not going to say you guys are planning to overthrow us or anything like that. But we are going to say that we are going to explain that that an internal issue basically formed with the Uchiha, and that the Uchiha have been labeled. They've been labeled a certain way that isn't true. They are as equal part of this village as anyone else, as part of the Hyuga, as part of the Aburame, as part of anyone else, be it civilian or clan or either. You are part of it. You helped founded And I think that would be another thing too, that they would bring up, like, you helped found this village with the Senju and the Uzumaki. You are a part of the legacy of this village, and you're just like everyone else. You are citizens of this village, and so he basically explains, and I'm sure there'd be like one other thing as well that he'd bring up, but yeah, he explains what he's gonna do, and Fugaku thinks on this, and he looks at his wife, and he ultimately, he's like, your terms are agreeable, Lord Hokage. I was like, very well, we'll make the announcement tomorrow if that is all right with you. Very well. And, they bow and they go. And, before they leave, Minato just says, keep it to Itachi. Please keep an eye on him just in case. It's like, yep, don't worry, I'm on it. And so the next day comes, and Minato has, like, a lot of the main members of it, Makoto, Fugaku, Itachi, and little Sasuke there, and several other big members, and a lot of them are behind him. And he's asked a couple other clans, probably the Hyugas are there, Abarames, Naras, all that. And he basically gives this speech about, the will of fire, the unity of the village, the founding of the village, and all that. And now we are going to be disbanding the Uchiha police force. People will be like, what? Why are they doing that? And the idea is, we'll be honest, what is your opinion of the Uchihas, honestly? And some of they can all see people kind of going like, yeah, that's the problem. They helped found the village. They are members of this village. They are just as much as family to you as you are to them in many ways. And it's time we start remembering that we are all part of this. And then eventually Minato, being the Hokage, gives a speech, and everyone claps and all that. And so, yeah, that's the Uchiha massacre is avoided in this version, which means you have a full-blown Uchiha clan here, which actually significantly changes things up quite a bit. So now you basically get into an interesting scenario where you no longer have the rage-fueled Sasuke. In fact, you have Itachi, who might even be a Jonin sensei, and a bunch of other Uchiha who are in the village. The question now, to be fair, I'd have to make up Uchiha characters if I were to include like kids in the in line, which I have to assume there were other. Sasuke was not the only kid that was around in the Uchiha clan. So yeah, I have to assume there are other Uchiha kids, maybe even with Sasuke's age group. So now we basically get into the Academy days. It took 3 episodes. We're finally at the Academy. So how is that going to change up the overall story of Naruto now? Well, probably quite a bit. Until then, though, that's where we're going to leave off on part 3. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put the comments below, let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.